I'm Mark Dawson from the Self-Publishing Show, and this is Self-Publishing Spotlight, where we shine a light on the indie authors who are changing the world of publishing, one book at a time.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Spotlight. We meet indie authors at all stages of their careers and ask them a series of 5 questions. 5 questions about their process, their mistakes and their successes, 5 answers that will help you level up your own author career. My name's Tom Ashford and I'm part of the Self-Publishing Formula. Don't forget that you can get your self-publishing resource kit at selfpublishingformula.com/starter kit.
This week's guest is Jeremy Spillman. He's written one book in the Western genre and he lives in Tennessee. Welcome, Jeremy.
I'm glad to be here.
So would you like to start by going over the book you've written?
Sure. It's called The Divine Devils. It's a Western set just post-Civil War about 2 boys whose their father was a missionary to the Apache out west at the time. And he took them with him on a trip, and the village was raided by the United States Army, and the father was killed, and the boys ended up being raised by the Apache. So it goes over their lifespan of being raised and then kind of trying to reincorporate themselves back in the East.
Very cool. I haven't personally read a lot of Westerns. I imagine they're still quite popular over in the States.
They are, yeah. Westerns are a pretty popular genre.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, if we jump into the questions, the first one is, why do you write?
Well, I'm a songwriter. That's my day job here in Nashville. Have been for 20 years, and I think working in commercial music, country music here, I wanted an opportunity to kind of expand my creativity and kind of get out of my confines creatively, and it was an outlet for me, basically.
Yeah. And did you always intend to go indie? I'm presuming you are indie, or did you want to get a traditional publishing contract first?
No, I intended to go indie. I never pursued a publisher.
Yeah, and was there a particular story or a particular reason why you wanted to write this story as opposed to anything else?
Well, I had this thought, this vision of a rock and roll band in the Old West. So when the brothers Shane and Audie Divine go back east, the only thing they really know how to do is make music. So I wrote this book it has a soundtrack of original songs, and I wanted to write this story so I could incorporate music into it.
Cool. Would you ever switch to getting a traditional contract now?
Maybe. I mean, I've been pretty happy with the indie route. I haven't thought about that a lot. I mean, if the price were right, maybe, but I think right now indie is the way to go.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, question number 2 is, how do you write? So when you sat down to write the first book, did you have it all plotted out, or did you sort of just see where the story took you?
Not at all. I was definitely a pantser.
Yeah.
I had no concept of the end from the beginning. And I use Scrivener, like so many writers.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a pantser.
Cool. And is there a time and place that you prefer writing?
I like to write early in the morning when I can. I think I'm most creative when I first get up. That's not always possible. I have 4 kids, so so I kind of pick and choose where I can. But the morning is the best for me. I did finish the book. My wife allowed me to go get. I got a cabin in the mountains for almost 2 weeks.
Nice.
And I took enough food to last me for 2 weeks, and I holed up, and that's how I finished the novel.
Very cool. Well, you've sort of answered this already, but question number 3 is, are you a full-time author? If you are, how did you get there? And if you aren't, what steps are you taking to make it happen, if you want it to happen?
I don't want it to happen. I'm not a full-time author, but I am a full-time songwriter. I do enjoy writing books, and I'm working on my second one now. But I like my day job. I'm not trying to get out of my day job. I do enjoy the ability or the being able to expand outside of a 3-minute song into a book.
Yeah. Have you ever considered writing music theory or nonfiction, that side of things?
No, I think I would be horrible at that.
Fair enough. Well, question number 4 is, what mistakes do you think you've made and what have you got right?
The mistakes, one mistake I think I made with the book was I think we targeted the wrong audience. The foreword for my book was written by an artist, a country music artist here named Eric Church, a guy I work with a lot, and we kind of targeted country music fans to begin with, and just because somebody listens to country music doesn't necessarily mean they want to read a book by a songwriter in that genre. Right. So we've kind of shifted our focus to target Western readers, and that seems to be way more the way to go for us. I think my big mistake was targeting the wrong audience.
Yeah, fair. And any sort of success stories in particular?
Well, as far as the book goes, it's my first one. We've sold, I think we're closing in on with digital and hard copies. I think we're closing in on 4,000 copies now sold.
That's not bad.
For me, the success story in my mind was that I actually finished a book. But yeah, that's where we're at now.
Yeah. Well, in terms of, obviously that was your first book and you mentioned you're going to be writing a second one. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that might differ or be related to the first one?
Well, I want all my books to be centered around music. So the first one's a Western. It's very violent, which doesn't bother me. But the second one is not. The second one is kind of the story of an artist who, a country music artist who realizes he's taken the wrong path. He's very successful, but he kind of sold his soul a little bit to for the success and left the path of where he creatively wanted to go. It's obviously not nearly as not violent at all.
Yeah.
And it's set in modern times, so completely different genre, which I know I've heard plenty of people say that's a mistake, but I kind of see my genre as books that can center around music and people who make music.
Yeah, I think in terms of if your main career is still to be focused as a musician, then that's a good, connecting point for different genre books. It doesn't, if it's not your career isn't going to be or isn't intended to be as a full-time author, then it doesn't really matter as long as you're expressing yourself, the way that you want to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, question number 5 is, what's your final piece of advice for authors starting out in indie publishing?
Keep writing. And I know everybody says that, but I use as a songwriter, that's what everybody told me in the beginning. Years ago when I moved to town, before I moved to town, everybody's keep writing. And I think that's true across all creative endeavors. Like, you have to keep doing it. It doesn't matter if you're successful or not successful. The key is to always write. In songwriting, the key is to write more songs. And I think the same holds true for authors as well.
Yeah. And is there a particular website or anything that people can find your books and your music, or is it the same one or two separate ones?
No, you can go to jeremyspillman.com to find out pretty much everything about me. And, the book's available Amazon, all the places online. And you can buy the book here in the States in Barnes & Nobles in the South. So Barnes & Nobles in the South are carrying it.
Awesome.
But yeah, anywhere online.
Great. Well, those are your 5 questions. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Tom.
That's it for this week's Self-Publishing Spotlight. Don't forget that you can get your free self-publishing resource kit at selfpublishingformula.com/starter kit. And if you want to appear as a guest on this show, send us brief details about yourself and your writing at selfpublishingformula.com/spotlight-guest. I'm Tom Ashford, and I'll see you again next week.